The Filipino Comfort Room, the great oxymoron. The Filipino Comfort Room, or CR. Now, Australian slang has so many words for that room with a toilet in it. The dunny, the loo, the bog, the thunderbox. Most of us Aussies could prattle off another 10 to 15 without even straining the brain. In the Philippines, they call it the Comfort Room, or the CR. CR. Maybe it's just me, but I can think of many places more comfortable. Read and learn if you are in an Australian-Filipino relationship, as you will need to face this several times a day when you visit anywhere other than a flash hotel in the Philippines. Some comfort room peculiarities. Goodness me, where does one start? Now, I wasn't too shocked when I first came here and I first came across one of these little rooms. I had travelled in Asia before in my youth, before I came here, and after a public dunny under the streets of what was then Bombay that contained beggars, it takes a bit to shock me. I think in one of the auntie's houses in Pasig where there was no light and where everything was as wet as a limestone cave was probably one of the worst. It's the lack of dryness which probably bothers me the most, so I can start there. Yes, Philippine CRs, they are a damp affair. Water everywhere. And trying to emerge without looking like you're still 2 years old with a lack of bladder control, this can be difficult. I detest it when my shorts become a blotter for toilet floor water. I don't know why it is that a trip to the bog for a Filipino necessitates getting water a metre and a half up 4 walls as well as creating a swimming pool on the floor. They usually have small bottoms. How much water is actually needed? Now, bum washing rather than dunny paper. I've long thought this was a more hygienic practice than the Western practice of using a roll of semi-absorbent paper to clean such a grubby area. Now, I won't go into graphic detail, but obviously a good dousing with water will be cleaner and more effective. Now, the inventor of the dunny roll makes me think of the inventor of the chopstick. Whoever agreed with them at the time that these were fantastic ideas? Water was already invented, for goodness sakes. Now, in the Philippines, they have a bucket and a tabo. Now, this is a little plastic dipper with a handle, which normally sits in a bucket of water under a single solitary tap. Now, the idea is to tip or toss water onto the icky regions and give a good wash with the hand. Pretty straightforward. Now, the Filipino toilet bowl. Now, an Aussie will notice a lack of what we consider essentials, namely a cistern and a seat. Now, there's also a complete lack of design flair. We purchased one for a local school once. Cost 500 pesos, so I suppose you get what you pay for. And this is part of why I say the word comfort in the Philippines comfort room makes it a serious oxymoron. Now, you can either sit on this charming little bowl, or you can do what most of the locals do and squat on it. Now, have you ever used one and wondered why it looked like there were dirty footprints on the 2 side edges? Probably because there was dirty footprints on the 2 side edges. So what do you need to do? Well, you do what you need to do. You give a good wash of your nether regions with the tabo, and you hike the rest of the bucket contents down the bowl with sufficient enthusiasm to send your contribution down the pipes and out of sight. Now, this might take a few goes, and don't be too surprised when it never really looks half fresh. Now, comfort issues in the Philippine CR. Can you use toilet paper? Now, I told my 2 sons on their first visit to the Philippines that the plumbing here only used 50mm piping, so the use of dunny paper would block up the toilet. You should have seen the look of horror on their faces. Unfortunately, I was only making it up so as to make them panic, and they did. Now, sewer piping here is 100 ml just as it is in Australia, and it can normally cope with paper just as it can back home. I suppose you just need to be aware that flinging a bucket of water down there doesn't create the same force as a damn good flush of an Aussie cistern. So copious amounts of copious amounts of paper coupled with minimal water pressure may cause some issues there. Be aware. Now, there is a strange custom, particularly in public CRs, of asking the CR patrons to toss their used dunny paper into a waste bin there. Why? I have no idea. Yuck. And I repeat, yuck. There is no practical reason for this though, so not me. Now, how do you keep your clothes dry? That's not always easy. Now, I have a mop permanently in our downstairs bathroom at home here. Some dunnies, especially service station dunnies when travelling, I walk in and I walk straight out of. Some literally have an inch of water on the floor, not kidding. As a general rule, the art seems to be to lower the pants with one hand and hold them up with the other, and to use, say, the left hand to hold the clothing up away from the soggy floor and never let it go. Or if you do happen to find a dry patch, you can always remove your shorts and leave them there until you're ready to put them back on again. But dry patches are rare in the ocean that is the Philippines Comfort Room. Now, the bum sprayer, or bum washer, or hand bidet. If you're in a more luxurious Filipino bathroom, well, you may well find one of these handy little items. Have a look there. Now, you consider buying some of these at the hardware when you're here, taking them back to Australia, as they are brilliant. Don't buy extra cheap, flimsy ones or you will regret it. I think you can figure that out. Now, showering or taking a bath. The Philippines CR is a place of bathing. Showering, taking a bath, as Filipinos call washing yourself. There's no bathtubs, rarely a shower, even more rare to have hot water. Now see that single tap, the bucket and the tabo? That is generally the shower. The instruments of comfort. So this is what is sometimes known in other parts of the world as a bucket bath. So how? How do we do this? Okay, you squat down on the floor. You tabo the water from the bucket over yourself. You soap yourself up. Then you use the tabo to rinse the soap off. You're done. And yes, the water is nice and cold. Some may add a bit of boiling water to it to take the freezing edge off it, but most simply tough it out. And before you scream like a little schoolgirl, remember that your delicate little Filipina lady did the same thing today, probably just before you did, without making a sound. Don't embarrass yourself, man. By the way, here's a funny little story. Now, here you will often see a roll of toilet paper in someone's house. Now, they will refer to it as tissue, because a tissue, a dunny roll, and a serviette here are all called tissue. So therefore, this is tissue. But here the bog roll is used for nose wiping, hand wiping, polishing things and general cleaning. One of my daughters, when she was about 10, when she first arrived here from the province, she was shocked to see a roll of tissue hanging on a holder in our CR. The silliest thing she'd seen in a long time, she thought. Why would you put it in the CR? Because she had no concept of it being used to wipe the bum with. So, as usual in the Philippines, keep your sense of humour. You're going to need it. Thank you. This video was brought to you by Down Under Visa, who specialise in visas for Australian Filipina couples. Please visit our website and complete a free visa assessment form. And please watch some of our other videos. Thank you.